watched Sister Bertrille playing tag with the clouds high above San Juan, it was difficult to believe her past contained nothing more exotic than a Chicago suburb and a nice, ordinary, middle-class upbringing. But it was all true. She was really very much like the typical girl next door, who had learned how to fly.
How normal is she? Aside from, she even has an older sister named Jennifer.
Good news, Sister Bertrille?
Oh, yes, great news. It's from my sister. Listen, dear Elsie, that's my old name, Elsie Ethrington. Now you wonder why I'm so crazy about the name Sister Bertrille? I mean, anything would be an improvement, right?
I try not to make fun of people's names, partly because the vast majority of us didn't get to choose our name, so we had nothing to do with it, but also because I have the kind of name that's easy to make fun of. Oh, Irving J. Frumpelmeyer is a name I just plucked out of the air one day and it stayed with me. That name is supposed to be silly. But my real name is Washburn. And trust me, when you're 7 years old and you uproot and move to a new community where you don't know anybody, and when you tell the new kids your name and they immediately start trashing it and don't let up for the next 5 years or so, it becomes difficult to like your own name. It's been well over 50 years and I still have trouble saying my name in call it a proud way. I usually just spit it out while the back of my mind is apologizing to the person. When I hear my name called in public, I can imagine people snickering. It's so deep in my psyche, I'll never be rid of it. Young Miss Ethrington most probably had a slightly different problem. Ethrington is a mouthful, but there's not a whole lot you can do to play with the word the way you can with my name. Elsie, on the other hand, probably got her a lot of razzing. Elsie the cow had been the critter for Borden since 1936 and at one time was better known than Mickey Mouse. I don't want to know what kinds of jokes Sister Bertrille endured because of that. The upshot? Kids are cruel little snab.
Dear Elsie, just a short note to tell you I'll be arriving in San Juan on the 24th and staying for a few days before leaving for Brazil. Looking forward to seeing you, Jennifer. Isn't that great?
Yes, indeed. What city in Brazil is she going to?
Oh, no, she won't be working in a city, Reverend Mother. She's going to some of the small villages. You see, she's a doctor.
She just signed up for 2 years with the Peace Corps. Looks like the urge to serve other people runs in the family. Sister Bertrille is the only one who isn't either a doctor or working on becoming one. She chose her own way to serve. It should be fun to show her sister what she does.
Hello, Miss Monthly. How are you today? Thank you very well. I must be on my way.
Lots of fun.
I just hope she doesn't get bored.
Why should she get bored?
Sister Jacqueline, the nightlife at the convent leaves something to be desired. I mean, if you're not a nun. I mean, I like it.
Just keep talking. That hole you're putting yourself in should be deep enough in another 2 sentences or so. It's time to meet Jennifer and see why she's not likely to be bored.
Well, you haven't given me an answer yet, Jennifer. Will you see me tonight?
When a woman is with Carlos, she does not get bored.
I'd love to, Carlos, but I have to visit the convent Santanco.
The convent? Why? What are you doing there?
Personal business.
Oh. Hey, you are not becoming a nun.
No. No, I'm going to visit my sister Elsie.
Oh, she works there.
She's a novice at the convent.
Sister Elsie. Funny, I never met her.
Does he not know that they take new names when they enter the order? He should have perked up at the word novice at the very least, because he only knows one novice at the convent.
What do you do for a living, Jennifer?
I'm a doctor.
A doctor? But you are so pretty.
Thank you, but regular features haven't saved a patient yet.
Oh, but I bet it sure helps. Anyway, if I ever need a doctor, I'm going to call on you.
I sincerely hope you'll never need my services, Carlos.
Why?
I'm an obstetrician.
But don't worry, next time you're having a baby, you can call on her, no charge. Eleanor Donahue literally grew up on screen. She made her first appearance at age 6 and has been on either the big screen or the small screen more or less non-stop ever since. She became a household name in 1954 at the age of 17 when she landed the role of Betty Anderson, also known as Princess, the oldest child of perfect dad Robert Young on Father Knows Best. Viewers literally watched her grow from a gawky teenager to a beautiful young woman. When Father Knows Best ended in 1960, she moved straight to the Andy Griffith Show where, oddly enough, she played a doctor. While she had one or two rough spots, in the main she didn't lack for roles to play. She's retired now, and as I'm writing this, yesterday was her 85th birthday, so I'll toss her my standard birthday greeting. All the best people know their poo.
Oh, Jen. Oh, honey. Oh, it's so good to see you.
Oh, you too. Hey, look at you. Oh, I can't get over it. My kid sister finally grew up. Sometimes we didn't think you'd make it.
Oh, come here, come here. Oh, class, I want you to meet my sister, Jennifer.
Hi.
Yo no sabía que monjas podían tener hermanas.
What did he say?
He said he didn't think nuns were allowed to have sisters.
They're already sisters, so they can have sisters who are then the sisters' sisters, and you know what? Maybe they shouldn't be allowed.
Anyway, we got to talking, and he turned out to be charming as well as handsome. And he had this whole evening planned. First dinner at his place, and then a personally guided tour of San Juan, ending with a midnight swim.
Oh, wow, it sounds exciting. What time is he picking you up?
Well, he's not. He's phoning later, but I'm going to tell him I want to spend the evening here with you.
Sister Bertrille doesn't think that's such a great idea. Jen should go have fun. There's plenty of time for them to visit. The fact that she said that is proof positive that Jennifer hasn't told her the man's name yet.
It's Carlos. It was Carlos she was talking about.
What's the matter?
Jen's going out with Carlos.
Why are you in such a flip? Isn't he a friend of yours?
Oh, sure he is. But would you want your sister to date him?
He's her friend, but she also knows what a womanizer he is. She's afraid her sister will get hurt when he womanizes her. She knows exactly where they'll be, and it appears that Carlos has the phone off the hook. She figures she has to get over there and warn Jennifer about Carlos.
Frankly, right now, I feel as if I'm in the middle of a Doris Day movie.
What?
Well, you know, the seduction scene in Rock Hudson's apartment.
Seduction? Whatever made you think of that?
The subdued lighting, the romantic music, the telephone off the hook. It's all a bit obvious, don't you think?
I don't think Jennifer needs a warning. She's already figured him out.
I'm sorry, Carlos. I just don't believe in instant passion.
Well, neither do I. How about if we rehearse?
I have a better idea. How about that midnight swim you promised me?
Well, I never welch on a promise. I tell you what, we can change here, and then we drive down to the beach.
There's just something about doing your activities late at night that makes them a little more, I don't know what to call it. I spent the summer of 1978 working at a Christian summer camp in northeastern Montana. My birthday happened to fall during that time, and the camp director and I had gotten to know each other well. He knew how much I liked riding the horses at the camp, so he took me on a bareback midnight ride through the forest. I'll tell you, galloping along through the trees that you can barely see, trusting the horse to see better than you can so he knows where to go, I can't describe it. I suspect a midnight swim with a hunk like Carlos will give Jennifer a similar feeling. He even has a selection of swimsuits for her to choose from.
Go away, we are busy. Well, it should take you about 3 minutes to change out of your clothes.
Give me 4. It'll take me longer than you.
I just do not believe it.
What are you doing here?
I was just about to ask you that.
Carlos wants to know what business it is of hers what Jennifer does.
Carlos, I didn't come here to talk to you. I came to talk to my sister.
I don't care who you... Your sister?
That's right.
Is she your sister?
Carlos is more than a little blown away. Jennifer doesn't understand, but now that she realizes Elsie and Carlos know each other, she's starting to put it together.
You mean if you'd known Sister Bertrille was my sister, you wouldn't have asked me out?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I would have thought about it a lot more.
That should tell you something about him, Jennifer. But just in case, Sister Bertrille wants to tell her a few things.
All right, sister, I know why you came here. She came to warn you about me. She was going to tell you that I'm a gambler and a playboy, and I have absolutely no scruples about women. Am I right, sister?
Well, you paraphrased a little bit, but that's about the size of it.
Something is happening here. Carlos just admitted all that, which isn't a thing he normally does. Usually when he's on the prowl, he tries to convince his target that he's different from most guys, and of course he'll respect her afterward. With Jennifer, he just laid all his cards on the table. That's not like him, and I think Jennifer sees something. She explains that she's a big girl. Elsie/Sister Bertrille isn't her mother, so please go find something else to do. And she may as well, because I foresee a 100% chance that Carlos is sleeping alone tonight.
Okay, Elsie, I'm sure you meant well. Now, don't you have something to do with the convent?
This is just like old times. Remember when he used to send me up to my room?
Not quite. In those days, I had to bribe you with a lollipop.
And guess what? Nothing's changed. If you want me to leave, hand it over.
Sister Jacqueline said you wanted to see me, Reverend Mother.
Yes, Sister Bertrille. I was at the hospital tonight, and while I was there, I'm afraid that I may have spoken rather hastily.
You, Reverend Mother?
They got a call from a remote village. A dog that was probably rabid bit someone, and the hospital couldn't spare a doctor on such short notice. Reverend Mother happened to mention that a doctor was currently visiting the convent.
And they want Jen to go out and take a look, huh?
Yes. I know that it is a tremendous imposition.
Oh, no, I'm sure she'd be glad to.
Can you reach her by phone?
No, but I know where I can find her.
In fact, she already did once.
Good. While you're gone, I will try to arrange for some transportation. She will need a plane to fly her in.
Oh, well, Reverend Mother, I think I can handle that, too. Senor Ramirez has a plane.
Yes, but do you think that Senor Ramirez would be willing to fly your sister into the interior?
When you go out with a doctor, you've got to expect to make an occasional house call.
Time to fly out to Carlos's boat. We have to squeeze the flying effects into the episode somehow. It's kind of the name of the show.
So, before going into private practice, I decided to join the Peace Corps. And they assigned me to Brazil. Now you know everything about me.
Not quite. I would like to know if you'll come and visit my mother tomorrow. It will make her very happy.
Why?
Well, my mother always wanted me to marry a doctor.
You should be careful. That could very easily be taken as a proposal.
It is a proposal.
After one date, he's asking her to marry him. And he's as serious as anyone who ever asked such a question has ever been. She says no, of course. She'll enjoy a nice romantic evening with a handsome, charming gentleman, but marriage is something that isn't even remotely on her radar.
Every girl is interested in marriage. Why not you?
Well, for one thing, I'm committed to 2 years in South America.
So, I'll go with you.
Carlos, I'm not going to be staying in a luxury hotel. Somehow, I just can't imagine you being happy in a jungle village.
Jennifer, I can be happy with you anywhere.
He's going to get a chance to prove that.
Hi there.
You know, it used to be a lot simpler when I'd give you 50 cents and send you to the movies.
She has the worst sense of timing in the world.
Why did I interrupt now?
If you must know, I was in the middle of proposing to your sister.
Proposing? You want to marry her?
Hard to believe, but true.
And she's not interested in forming a committee to discuss it. What does Sister Bertrille want now?
Well, it's an emergency, and it involves you and Carlos.
What are you talking about, sister?
Carlos, how would you like to spend some time with Jennifer alone?
Time alone with Jennifer without her kid sister constantly interrupting? Sounds like a teenage boy's dream. And Carlos is still enough of a teenager to jump at the chance.
Of course, she didn't tell us that the nearest landing field was 5 miles away from the village.
Oh, well, hey, I spotted the village over there someplace. Isn't that great? Well, it wasn't my idea to come along. The Reverend Mother insisted.
And that chance may materialize someday. Today is not that day.
Carlos, would you like to stop and rest for a while?
What makes you think I need a rest?
Well, you look sort of rumpled and sweaty.
But that's because I wasn't trained to be a pack mule.
How much further, Elsie?
Not far. According to the map, the village should be just on the other side of this swamp.
Somebody needs to tell Carlos he's trying too hard again. She already likes him. He doesn't have to try and prove he's a rough, tough macho dude.
Let's go.
Okay. No, Carlos, not that way!
I wonder if he's being happy with Jennifer in the jungle yet. Despite Carlos's best efforts, they reach the village and Dr. Ethrington is on the job.
How are you coming along there, Carlos?
Oh, I feel stupid.
You look charming. I'll get Elsie to hang your trousers out to dry.
How is he?
Well, the bite itself isn't too bad. It all depends on whether that dog is rabid.
Oh, what a snappy-looking outfit.
Who asked you?
What did you find out?
Well, they don't seem to be able to find the dog. They think maybe he crawled off someplace and died.
I feel like joining him.
That means he gets the rabies shots just in case. It's not a pleasant treatment, but rabies is worse. She has Carlos translate as she explains it to the patient. He'll get the first injection now, then they'll fly him to San Juan for the rest of the 2-week treatment.
Finally, I'm going to be of some use.
What do you mean?
Well, if so far I haven't covered myself with glory, have I?
Don't be silly. I think you've borne up very well.
He did fly them there at his own expense, and it's not his fault the airstrip is so far away from the village, and it's not his fault the swamp was full of water.
Ooh.
What's the matter?
Are you going to stick that big needle in him?
Yes. Oh, look, it's not pleasant, but it's not as bad as it looks. Anyway, there's no alternative. Are you all right, Carlos?
That's a big needle.
She'll have Sister Bertrille hold the patient's hand and try to keep him calm while Carlos holds the light so she can see what she's doing.
All right. Here goes. What happened?
Carlos, he fainted.
Or not. I'm willing to give Carlos a pass on that one because a lot of people can't handle that sort of thing and it's just how they're put together. Things like needles and blood have never bothered me, which is good because for the past 30 years my wife has been a registered nurse and I like to hear about her day when she comes home. If I had the same problem Carlos does, she'd only be able to tell me about 1/3 of the stuff she does. Still, I can respect someone who has trouble dealing with these things. Look after him, let him know it's all right and he didn't fail her. They learned something about him that's going to be important if he really wants to spend the rest of his life with her. Don't ask about her work, because someday she'll be too old and frail to pick you up off the floor.
What happened?
You fainted.
That's impossible.
No, it's not. It's true. When Jen put the needle in, you went... out like a light.
She has such a wonderfully expressive way of telling him he's a wuss. At least that's what he's hearing.
And don't feel too bad, Carlos. After all, you're a gambler, not a nurse. Here, fan yourself.
Elsie's right, Carlos. Don't feel too badly about it. I fainted 4 times my first year at med school.
Yeah, but you're a girl.
Well, guess what? If fainting is one of the criteria, so are you.
Poor Carlos. You have had a rough time of it, haven't you?
That makes up for everything. And I still want to marry you.
He can really picture himself spending the next 2 years like this? I have doubts. But he's determined to give it his best shot. Jennifer doesn't want to talk about it right now. Her sister is coming back with a stretcher so they can take the patient to the plane.
Where do you want me to put this? Oh!
Oh, my good Carlos, are you hurt?
I think I sat on something sharp.
Nothing says intimacy and compatibility like the person you want to marry putting stitches in your butt.
Carlos, I'm so sorry.
No, you are not. Don't be hypocritical about it.
What do you mean by that?
You planned the whole thing.
What?
You didn't want me to marry your sister. Don't you deny it. You wanted Jennifer to fall out of love with me. So you deliberately took me into the jungle.
Yeah, she set the whole thing up. She provided the rabid dog, paid that Pedro guy $50 to let the dog bite him, and all the rest. She grabbed Carlos by the ankles and threw him into the swamp, and then slipped him a Mickey to make sure he fainted at the right time. Then she put the bottles in the right spot, calculated exactly where he'd be, and deliberately bashed him with the stretcher. I get the feeling Jennifer gave him some drugs for the pain and they're kicking in.
That's not true.
Oh, no? We'll see. Jennifer,
Yes?
answer me yes or no. Will you marry me?
Carlos,
Yes or no?
No,
You see?
But Carlos, that has got nothing to do with your accident.
I refuse to talk about it any further.
In fact, he's going on a verbal strike. He refuses to talk to anyone about anything.
And he didn't.
Not to anyone?
Well, not to Jennifer or myself. He wouldn't even answer the telephone to us.
Oh, cheer up, sister. It's not as bad as all that.
Oh, yes, it is. There's nothing worse than losing a friend.
She's not wrong about that. I do have a story, but it's too painful to tell. Jennifer is leaving, but she feels awful about Carlos.
Oh, I didn't want you to leave before I had a chance to say goodbye. Goodbye. I'd have been here sooner, except I was busy as a wasp.
Oh, it was very sweet of you to come.
Oh, by the way, I saw your friend Carlos. At the hospital? He's having his stitches taken out. I guess that means he's back to normal, huh?
Okay, he'll be a captive audience for a while, so before we take Jen to the airport, let's bop on over to the hospital and talk to him, whether he likes it or not.
Almost through, Doctor?
Almost. You have some visitors, Senora.
Hi.
Oh, no. What are you doing here?
Jennifer wanted to talk to you, Carlos.
Is this allowed? I mean, can just anyone walk in here and watch a private operation?
Of course not.
He'll ask Sister Bertrille to wait outside. She won't argue.
Oh, wait a minute. What about her? Doesn't she have to leave too?
Of course not. Dr. Ethrington is not only a physician, but is very familiar with your case.
He can't argue with that. Let's leave these two alone so they can talk freely.
Oh, thank you, Carlos, for driving us to the airport.
Well, I owe you something. I was wrong about you, sister. I'm sorry.
You know, before Sister Bertrille, I doubt those words were part of his vocabulary. Just another example of how she's improving him bit by bit. He was really stuck on Jennifer, and he was serious about his proposal. The rejection has to hurt, regardless of the reason.
Oh, get over it.
My, you certainly are taking it all nicely.
Well, that's because she reminded me of something that made the rejection a little easier to take.
What's that?
That if I marry her, it will make you my sister-in-law. And I'm not sure I'm ready for that yet.
He really did not think of that. You know what? If he could get as far as having a wedding and all the rest without realizing he's now related to her, I say he deserves whatever he gets. If you enjoyed this, please click the like button to let me and YouTube know you want to see more. If you're not subscribed yet, punch me in the mask here and get signed up so you don't miss a thing, because something is always happening here at Irving Zoo. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. And I still have trouble saying my name is a crap. And when you tell the new kids your name, they immediately... There's a word missing there. Young Miss Ethrington likely... Wow, man! Carlos just admitted all that, which is... Reverend Mother happened to mention that the Sister Bertrille doesn't think that's such a great idea. Jen should go have fun. Someday my nuts will drop.